Look, that's right. Easy, easy. Who were you expecting? Telly Savalas? What a group.
Right.
Good evening. I'm Johnny Carson, and you're the audience. And let's keep it that way. Now, those of you, by the way, who forgot to set your clocks back, we'll start laughing at this monologue in about an hour. I was right there. In a good mood tonight? We got a good show for you. And you people who came out to California for the last weekend, you've seen our rainy season. That was it, Saturday and Sunday. Did you ever see so much rain? You see, Los Angeles people are not used to rain. We had about, an inch of rain?
Yeah.
Absolute panic in Los Angeles. People in Los Angeles have a hard time handling any water that doesn't have bubbles and a slice of lime in it. Anyway, Eric Dickerson of the Rams is
gone.
I tuned in the marathon from New York. Dickerson beat him back to Indianapolis. Poor Rams are not doing too well. I saw the game the other day. Instead of a wave, the fans mooned the players. Now, you know, I live at Malibu. I pick up the paper this morning, and guess who are leasing a home out at Malibu? Jim and Tammy Baker. I should have known. I saw a Maybelline truck pull up the other day. Just down big van. Guys were unloading stuff. Anyway, I haven't run into him yet, but I probably will. Tammy is a shrewd businesswoman. You know, she records. She made a record, an album, but her records are all shaped like boomerangs, so you can't throw them away. Speaking of Jim and Tammy, did you read that Jerry Falwell resigned today as head of the moral majority? Yes, yeah. Jerry's going back to his old job as test pilot for water slides. A lot going on. This is election day, I guess, all around the country. And here in Los Angeles, we are having what they call the local propositions. Now, only in Los Angeles would they come up with some weird propositions on the ballot. Are you familiar with Proposition G here in Los Angeles?
No, I'm not.
It would make it a crime. Proposition G would make it a crime to have a silkworm missile in your glove compartment on the Ventura Freeway during rush hour. They expect a big turnout in West Hollywood. Now, the big issue in West Hollywood is whether it's legal for more than 2 people to stand in a doorway during an earthquake. Some of you forgot to set your clocks back. Oh, here's an interesting item. Judge Wapner. You all know Judge Wapner?
Yeah.
Okay. He just offered Supreme Court nominee Douglas Ginsburg a week as guest judge on People's Court so he could get some experience. Now, here we go again. They're gearing up for another fight back in Washington. As you know, Reagan nominated Judge Robert Bork a couple of months ago, and he got shot down. So he has now nominated Judge Douglas Ginsburg to be on the Supreme Court. Douglas Ginsburg is 41 years old. The Supreme Court? He's younger than the Supremes. How can... He might be a fine man, but I don't know. Reagan's got a big thing with bearded judges.
Yeah.
You notice Bork and now Ginsburg, and Bork is trying to help Ginsburg. He said when he goes in front of the committee, part your beard in the middle. And if Ginsburg doesn't make it, Reagan's going to appoint the Smith brothers. Anyway, Reagan said just the other day at a press conference that his new nominee is going to be tough on crime, which puts the entire Reagan administration in jeopardy. I'm not trying to put Judge Ginsburg down. Did you ever hear of him before?
No.
He hasn't had a lot of bench experience, apparently. He's only been a judge for 1 year, and that was on Dance Fever. We'll keep you informed as to what's happening as the time goes by. Have you been reading about Prince Charles and Princess Di? Yeah, apparently they're being living in separate castles. Tell me about it. It shows you can happen, even with royalty, right? They're having a few problems, but fortunately, Charles, pretty smart cookie, made a prenuptial agreement with Princess Di. If he divorces her, she gets $400. $400. But she gets the Falkland Islands. I hope it works out. The problem is, apparently, the royal couple prefer different lifestyles. She wants to party and dance. He wants to windsail with his ears. What else is happening today? Today is the birthday of the Earl of Sandwich. Yeah, do you know the sandwich is named after the Earl of Sandwich? In 1762. Also, along with that, next week, 7-Eleven across the country are celebrating the birthday of another great food great, the Duke of Corn Dog. If you don't get the jokes out, they're just not going to work. Interesting thing on the news last night, China is having a big shakeup. They're having a changing of the guard, and their new, what would you call it, elected general, what was it, chairman, the new Chinese chairman is Zhao Xingyang. Zhao, I think that's correct. Zhao, well, who knows? Anybody know the correct pronunciation? That's what I thought. Zhao Xingyang, new Secretary General of the party. He won by a score of, it was 1 billion to 4. Very, very popular. I'm still reeling from two rather strange television specials were on this past week. First, William Shatner was on one the past week trying to contact the spirit of Harry Houdini. How many of you saw that show? Kind of interesting. As a matter of fact, the amazing Randi was on that show, and he's our guest. James Randi is one of our guests tonight. They didn't get through. Unfortunately, they did not get through to Harry Houdini. Now, Mrs. Houdini gave up about 30 years ago. They tried it. No, they tried it for 30 years, but they held this seance. But they did get his machine. And the machine said, "This is Houdini. I'm not in right now. I'm playing cards with William Casey." But they got... That's what it said on his machine. Don't boo me. And then in another warm show, Telly Savalas hosted Return to the Titanic. Did you see that? Yeah, when you want to do a special where you're going through the artifacts of the dead, you want a warm, sensitive host like Telly Savalas. Hey, look, some old broad shawl. Telly's a nice man, but he's just this side of Stallone. Hey, what is this here? Hey. Next week, I understand he's going out to Little Bighorn and go through Custer's pants for loose change. I want to see that one. I don't know if you saw that show. When he opened the Titanic safe, they found 100 shares of AT&T stock. And it was exactly the same price today as it was in 1912. Hey, what's that, sweetheart? Weird. Anyway, tonight, we got a good show. Outside of the amazing Randi, I just saw him backstage, and I said, did you ever wake up in the morning and just not feel amazing? We booked you under the amazing Randi, and you get up and you say, hey, I don't feel amazing. Well, he's going to be here and amaze us, and we have a young comedian by the name of Joanne Astro is with us, and one of the greatest actors and a nice guy, George C. Scott, is with us tonight. So stay where you are. We'll be right back. Oh, Harry, if you're out there, give us a sign. I got hysterical. There's nothing wrong with holding a seance. You ever been to a seance?
No.
They brought all these people on, some of them with the, I guess, Academy of Magical Arts, and they all sat around, I guess, former friends of Houdini, who died, 61 years ago. Yeah. And it's true, Mrs. Houdini did try for about 10 years. He apparently had some word that he had left with her. And, he was a put-down of spiritualist, and he said, if you can come back, I will contact you. And she held this seance for 10 years and said, packed it in. And so they did it last week on television. And they had all these people sitting around. They had all these artifacts in a book and, I guess, a sandwich Houdini had once eaten or something. I don't know. not a sandwich.
Oh, a sandwich.
A ticket for a sandwich or something. And they all sat around saying, give us a sign, like things were going to move. And he didn't show, which didn't exactly surprise me. Anyway, hello, Harry. And I sat there and I got hysterical because the guy who was doing it, and I don't want to put anybody down, was wearing a suit that was not fitting, an ill-fitting suit. Right. And I said, maybe you could contact your tailor first. Before you try for the big one. Oh, Murray, could you come fix me a nice suit? Wouldn't even contact his tailor. How are they going to get? How many of you believe you can, in reincarnation, or you can come back?
Not many.
Everybody here is reincarnated tonight. It's kind of a nice, happy thought, isn't it?
Yes.
My birthday was last week, and I got a lot of nice... I didn't say it for that reason. And after the show, my writers, my loyal... writers are strange guys.
Yes.
There are a lot of nice guys who work on their show. They're cynical, but they have strange sense of humor. And there are a lot of guys who work on the show. Mike Berry, Jim Mulholland, Ray Siller... Hal Goodman and Larry Klein, Bob Keane, Kevin Mulholland, Darryl Vickers, and Andrew Nichols, and Patrick Verone. And they brought me a gift. Now, I don't know whether you'll understand this or not, but back here on this table for years, and I don't know when this first started, we've kept two props, which are hard to explain.
Yeah.
One of them is this arrow. We did a sketch many, many years ago.
Custer's Last Stand?
That played so badly, it just died. And I said, just put that back there to remind us that at any time we can go right into the tubes.
Right.
And the other is is a fowl that's synonymous with comedy.
Right.
A chicken. A rubber chicken. This is the original rubber chicken. It's getting a little beat up.
Seen better days.
If the chicken is just about ready to go to that great coop up in the sky, but we keep the chicken back here. It's just kind of a, what do you call it? What's the word I want?
Symbol?
Not a symbol,
Something else.
Superstition. It's a superstition. Anyway, the writers came out the other day and presented me.
Oh.
Well, I treasure this more than any Emmy I've ever won on the show. And here it's a chicken which is supposed to be bronzed. It's actually silvered, and I'll tell you what happened. And they have a little plaque here. It says, Hic Cluckus Haltus. Means the joke stops here. 1962, the writers. Isn't that lovely?
That's terrific.
Now, along with this was a type sheet called Chicken Chronology. And they detailed how this came about. September 28, 12:15, writers think of perfect gift idea. September 28, 2:15, phoned Silversmith, told him we need a bronze chicken for Silver to take hold. September 28, phone bronzer, told we need as hard a rubber chicken as possible for bronzing. Now, can you imagine calling a guy and say, do you have a hard rubber chicken? September 28th. Phone every novelty store in town. Nobody has a hard rubber chicken. September 28th, 4:15, phone novelty item distributor. He has only hard rubber chickens left due to holiday rush on soft chickens. We order chicken. September 30th, chicken delivered to the night show, personally inspected by writers for its hardness. Then, September 30th p.m., chicken sent to bronzer. October 20th p.m., chicken released from bronzer after being bronzed and polished 4 times. October 21st, chicken at Silversmith being silvered. October 22nd, find out from bronzer that chicken should have been mounted on base before bronzing. Uh-oh. October 22nd, Greg Elliott of Tonight Show Props assures writers base can be manufactured for silvered rubber chicken on NBC premises. October 22nd p.m., engraved description for plaque ordered by phone. October 23rd, chicken put on pedestal by Tonight Show Prop Department. And October 23rd p.m., plaque attached to chicken pedestal in time for official presentation. Writing of plaque inscription left until last minute, as usual. And that is the chronology of the chicken. So thank you, guys. You understand? I want to thank all the little people. That's what they usually say. That's funny.
That's nice.
That's something you put up in your map.
Right.
Okay, in a moment, George C. Scott will be out here. We have a young comedian by the name of Joanne Astro and the amazing Randi, fresh from the search for Harry Houdini. Hello, I'm still looking for Harry to come back. My first guest, everybody knows. He's a good friend. He's a marvelous actor. Everything he's in, he walks away with a picture. And right now, he's currently starring in a situation comedy called Mr. President, which is on, as they say, another network. Would you welcome George C. Scott? See, actors really know how to take a bow.
What a group. I could take them over to Paramount with me. Come with me. Yes, to my show. My goodness.
You know how to take a bow. Theater people know how to take a bow, right?
I don't know.
Oh, come on. When you come out for the curtain call, I remember once seeing, I think it was Ethel Merman in Gypsy. And at the close of the show, you know, and the curtain goes up and the cast comes out, and she came out and literally milked that audience. It's like if you didn't applaud, she was going to come out and grab you by the throat. She would slowly walk over here, look at the audience, stand there, and do this. Well, the audience had to applaud. And then just as about as it died, she'd walk to the other side, pause, drop the head. It was wonderful to watch. Wonderful.
I love British actors. They go...
Yeah.
September morn or something. What are they worried about? I don't know.
You know what I think that is? It's like showing vulnerability. Like,
I think so. And modesty.
Yeah, a little modesty and humility. Would you describe yourself as a modest person?
Yeah, yes.
Would you?
As opposed to egocentric, you mean?
Yeah, sure.
Certainly, absolutely.
Certainly?
I'm so nervous I got to smoke, don't you?
Come on, what are you nervous about?
I can't show the brand, though. There's only 2 people alive left that smoke these. Everybody else is dead.
Don't show the brand.
No, I wouldn't.
You're talking major lawsuit here.
I didn't say a word.
Don't say anything. Okay. Only
Sorry,
2 people left.
The rest finished.
Well, then, now, people have got to say at home. They said, George C. Scott just pulls out a cigarette. And since there are only 2 people left who smoke this, and yet he pulls one out. Now, how would you answer that?
I also just celebrated my 60th birthday last week.
Yeah.
It's very bad. I tried to quit so many times. I quit for 4 months this spring.
I know you did.
250 pounds.
You did gain a little weight, didn't you?
Yeah.
But isn't that temporary? They say you gain
It's
and then...
metabolistic or something. I don't know what causes it.
Yeah. Well, as long as you're comfortable with it. What were we talking about?
I don't know.
The theater.
Yes.
If you had your druthers... I saw you with Larry King one night. Very
Yeah.
good. He's a marvelous interviewer.
He is a good interviewer.
Yeah, he's very good. And you were talking about the theater. I get the feeling if you had your druthers but playing television, motion pictures, you'd like to go and do the theater.
Yeah. When you start out there. It's true. It's, I tried to, somebody asked me that the other day. I tried to remember what it is, but it's not only the live audience and that ambiance or whatever you want to call it. But more than anything else, I thought it's the language that is kind of a heritage that stage actors are very lucky to have that other actors schooled elsewhere do not have. Film, certainly you don't get them in situation comedies like I'm in now.
Yeah.
And
well, there was a time when somebody from the theater, if you'd have even suggested television, would have looked at you like, television?
Yeah, and that's wrong, too.
Yeah.
But the language stays with you for the rest of your life. And I was thinking maybe I'd lay a little something on you to show you what I mean. The beauty of it and the charm of it and the wit of it. It's not just the classics, not just Shakespeare or something like that, but some of the modern people, Fry, Genet, Ennui. And I thought of a piece I used to do from Christopher Fry's The Lady's Not for Burning. It was a big success a number of years ago with Gil Good and Pamela Brown, and the very young Richard Burton at the time was playing the juvenile lead. And it's in blank verse. Now, don't panic, folks, because... Have I got enough time for this?
Sure.
You say blank verse, I always thought, it's a bunch of Greeks running around in a burlap and bare feet and pulling each other's eyes out. It's terrible. Long speeches. This is lovely. You don't even have to watch. Just listen. But we got to do it like the mighty Carson art players. You see, I got a part for you and a part. You don't do anything. Just sit. Ed is a beautiful young woman who has been accused of being a witch. Erroneously, of course, because she's innocent. And she's going to be burned at the stake. And you, John, play the mayor of the town, who's also naturally the town magistrate, who's condemned her to death. Oily, unctuous, mean, cruel, venal, corrupt. Perfect part, John.
Well, thank you.
And I play a guy who walks in off the street, sort of a street bum, also typecasting. And he, in order to take attention away from the lady, maybe so she can escape, he says that he's committed a couple of murders of local citizens. And maybe they'll hang him.
Do we have any lines at all?
No, you just sit there.
I see, all right.
And at the height of this argument, he turns to the mayor and he says, "You, bubble-mouthing, fog-blathering, chin-chuttering, chap-flapping, liturgical, turgidical, base old man, what about my murders? And what goes on inside that head of yours? Huh? What funny little murders, chatting up and down in 3/4 time, afraid to come out. What bliss to sin by proxy and to do penance by way of someone else. But we'll not talk about you. No. Neither about this exquisitely mad young woman nor about anybody but me. I'm due to be hanged. Good Lord. Aren't 2 murders enough to win me the medals of damnation? Must I put 6 children on a spit and toast them at the flame that comes out of my mouth? You let the fairies fox you while the devil does you. Concentrate on me. That's it.
I like that.
Nice? Haven't done that in years.
You never forget that.
No. Must be 25 years.
George just said he hadn't done that for 25 years, and yet the lines, you were doing them like they were ingrained in
lovely
there.
Stuff, isn't it? Lovely.
That is great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's the kind of stuff we normally don't get on our on a lowbrow show like we have. It's nice to bring a little class into this show occasionally, holding up a rubber chicken and doing that. And
That's
then
good.
Stuff, and the lady's not for burning. I mean, we try for every class.
Some of the dogs I've been in.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back. That was marvelous. Thank you, Doc. The amazing Randi will be out later. We're talking with George C. Scott. Have you always worked under George C. Scott, never just George Scott?
Yeah, George C. I did it on purpose because I noticed when I was a kid that if you had an initial like Edward G. Robinson, nobody ever heard of Edward Robinson, right?
You're right.
There was white space in there, so I thought I threw that middle initial in there. God knows what it stands for, folks.
Yeah, I'm not even going to ask.
No, don't ask. No.
Harry S. Truman. How many people? Do you know how many people what the S stood for in Harry S. Truman? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
There's no middle name. Just maybe that's the same thing. He wanted that kind of nice ring to it. Harry S. Truman.
That's true.
I asked George during the break where the term. We've never been able to figure it out. When you say you're in a turkey, for example, on Broadway, or I guess it could be any kind of a show, you say, well, it was a real turkey. which means it's a bomb. Now, if you're in England, you have a bomb. That's a big hit, right?
That's a big hit. A big
Yeah,
bomb.
if you say, oh, I was a bomb in England, that's a smash. But over here, they say it's a turkey, and we've never been able to run that down. Do you ever have any idea?
No, I have no idea.
Some people thought it was maybe that a Thanksgiving Day audience came and they'd eaten too much food. so they didn't react or something, or were lethargic, and they call it a turkey, but I don't know.
Lots of times we put on animals, we put, there's a word for that, I don't know.
Anthropomorphic, I believe.
Pythagorean. Hello.
Isn't anthropomorphic when you give living qualities to an inanimate
That's
object?
right. Absolutely.
I think so.
What have we?
I keep little things
Anyway,
like
we
that
do
filed
that.
away just in case I get on a quiz show.
Lay that in there.
Yeah. A turkey, and I don't know why. Well, actors hamming it up.
Hamming it up.
He's a ham actor. Now, where would that come from? Freddie, you should know these things. A ham actor.
Hamlet.
From Hamlet? You think so? In other words, guys who would overact the part of Hamlet would ham it up.
Very good.
Well, that makes sense. That was Jim McCauley and Mandolce. Agree on that? All right. Did you ever play Hamlet?
Never played Hamlet. I played a lot of others, but I was never a romantic lead, unfortunately.
Really?
Well, fortunately.
Well, you could have played Hamlet very well. What do you like rather play Polonius?
I wasn't
That's the
very
kind-
pretty.
Something like that.
Sort of
huh?
ugly.
How about Macbeth?
Macbeth I once played. I played Richard III, of course.
Yes. I took a little theater in college, and I got so embarrassed. I always had a comedy bet, and I would start to, when I went out to do something serious, I always thought people were going to laugh. And so I could never do it.
Yeah.
I had to go out and do that awful thing. What is this, a dagger in my hand? And I just... Now, what is it? What causes that? Just a bit insecure, or you think people are going to laugh at you?
Sure, you know that, and the fear mounts upon itself,
Yeah.
feeds itself. It's not an easy
You ever
job,
suffer from
folks.
stage fright? Real, genuine, terrible stage fright?
Absolutely, everyone does. They say you're dead if you don't.
Yeah, what do you do to get over it?
You don't. Throw up. I used to throw up all the time.
Now, people won't believe that. I've known
Well,
other
athletes,
performers
you know,
who would do that after the show or before and then go out and be brilliant.
I always used to throw up a lot. Couldn't eat at all. Terrible.
Now, I knew actors, believe it or not, who couldn't do radio shows. Now, the audience really
Because
didn't
of
even see
nerves?
them. They stood there with a script
Never heard that.
and did radio and absolutely would panic. I guess of having to talk into a rather
Shaking
inanimate...
papers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the shortest run you ever had? Did you ever open and close in one night?
I wish I could say to you that it had only happened once. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Trish and I had a play on Broadway with some of our own money in it one night a few years ago. I think I hold a record. I opened a show that I produced, directed, and starred in on Broadway. And we opened on a matinee and didn't make it to the evening
You're
performance.
kidding. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to open these whole...
I was
Open the matinee and never
and
open the
never
evening.
got there for the night. Yeah, and I was in a play one time in England. We opened in England, and the audience. Maybe I told you that. The audience rose as one and booed. Oh, one person. Boo! It's a little hard to take.
Oh, that's murder. And you gutted it out to the end?
We did. Oh, it was awful.
And did not
that
return.
That was the end.
And did not
That was the
return.
end of the
That was
opening
it?
night.
I just thought of, I don't mean to top your story.
No.
Speaking of the audience standing, Dick Martin and Dan Rowan, who passed away just about a month or so ago, used to tell me a story. They were working a place, I think, in some nightclub. And you remember the story, Ed?
Yes.
And it was like a bunch of conventioneers. And they were just terrible. And they were dying. They had tried everything. They'd given it their best A material. So Dan and Dick in the middle of this started to sing something like some song. I don't remember what the song was. And they got up and they were going around the table singing and went right out the door to their room and never came back. He just left. And he said nobody missed him at all. Just left. Insecurity. We'll be right back. Stay where you are.
True story.
Okay, my next guest. My next guest is an actress and comedian who performs frequently at the improvisation in Hollywood. She had a reoccurring role last season on Dynasty. It's recurring, not reoccurring, right? Recurring, right? Thank you. And this Sunday, November you didn't even know where turkey came from. How do you know from recurring? And this Sunday, November 18th, she'll be appearing at Spellbinders Comedy Club in Houston, Texas. Would you welcome Joanne Astro? Joanne?
Thank you. I I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to be here tonight. Such wonderful stars, such wonderful people. And thank you for that lovely introduction. So does anyone recognize me from Dynasty? No? Oh, well, maybe this will help you remember. Right this way, Mrs. Carrington. It was a job. I also am celebrating. This is such a wonderful celebrating month. This Saturday night, I will be celebrating 20 years of marriage. Is that something? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, oh. And I did it the hard way. 4 men. Ooh, this marriage is a very complicated thing, isn't it? Anyone here married? Oh, good. Rest of you are gay. Well, don't feel bad, because in this country today, 20 years of marriage is amazing. In Los Angeles, it's a miracle. In San Francisco, it's a felony. I don't know. Even when we get married, we can't seem to make it last. Actually, I was married twice. I had to divorce my first husband. I had to. Right after he left, I said, get out. You know, leave it. But I am not a bitter woman. That is very important. I feel that my first marriage was an appetizer marriage. A little guacamole marriage. I married a dip. All his fault, but he did have a terrible temper, and he couldn't help it because, well, it was in his blood, actually. He was half Israeli and half Doberman Pinscher. He was an attack Jew, is what he was. Rabbi Rambo. Yeah. Don't you think sometimes that it would be better if the marriage ended with the wedding? Great party, see ya. My second marriage is working out very well because I have learned, I have grown. Now, whenever we have a fight before we go to bed at night, I always say 3 little words, I love you. If that doesn't work, I say 2 little words. Community property. And then I say the words the New Yorkers were thinking of. So, women, though. Women, I think, will always want to get married. What do you think? Yeah. Oh, no? No. I'd like to hear your story. It's just that, well, no matter how liberated we become, we may not be so sure about marriage anymore, but we still want that wedding. We can't help that wedding. We were raised on that wedding. We were promised that wedding, and the groom is lucky if he was invited. Because we want to walk down that aisle, you know, all in white, showing our relatives we knew what color a virgin would wear. Flanked by our mom and dad weeping openly, and why not? The man is in horrible debt. Mom smiling serenely, and why not? She's been heavily sedated. But most of all, we want to share this moment with our girlfriends who coached us every step of the way. We want to thank them. We want to thank them by having them walk down the aisle before us in those ugly bridesmaid dresses that we made them pay for. I liked it so much, I did it twice. I did. But I was honest. First time I got married, I walked down the aisle all in gray, symbolizing that I had had sex once but didn't enjoy it. Second time, even bigger wedding. When my dad handed me over to the groom, he whispered to him, "This sale is final. Don't bring her back," you know. That's why I feel that it is so important for a woman to have girlfriends. A girlfriend will help you through things that marriage just brings, like when your husband, has, he's come home late and then you find out he's hired a secretary named Vixen, right? There are calls to be made, there are plans to be discussed. And am I not right, ladies? Am I not right? Who else would listen to us complain for hours and hours and hours and say nothing but no? He did what? With who? And then we always give each other that great romantic advice. Kill him! A good girlfriend will help you with a lot of problems, like a good girlfriend will tell you where your G-spot is. Is there any woman in this audience who has found her G-spot? Because I don't believe it exists. I think they made it up just to make us crazier. One more thing to feel inadequate about. I looked. I did find an earring I had lost.
We're back in a moment. James Randi is here tonight. And he is the author. James Randi is the author of The Faith Healers, and he's best known as an investigator of psychic and miraculous claims. Would you welcome, please, the amazing Randi. I was having a little fun with the show on Houdini. I know you were on that show. You didn't think you'd...
No, I didn't expect him to show up, John, but I also didn't expect what happened to me, which put me in the hospital for a couple of days.
I noticed you were going to do the something, and you...
The milk can, yeah, the Houdini milk can, and a young fellow named Dean Gunnarsson, with an hour and a quarter notice, stepped into place and did the thing, and it's a death-defying stunt. I was amazed that he could do it, but he came through for us and saved the show.
He did. Yeah, he's very good. All right, what do you have that's semi-amazing tonight?
Well, I know you've been my title altogether.
Yeah.
I have a little stunt I'd like to show you that yogis have been doing for years, and they took some people in at the Menninger Clinic with it a few years ago, and it was published in the National Enquirer, so it must be true.
All right. What are you going to do?
Let's take a trip over
you want
here.
Me to go with you?
We have, yes, please.
All right.
We have a couple of nurses that have joined us.
A couple of nurses. Good.
Yeah. And here are the ladies now.
Well, here we are with the nurses.
Hi there.
Hi.
You're going to stand on this side, I believe, or on this side, I'm sorry.
And you are, by the way, who are you?
Hi. I'm Pam.
Hello, Pam. All right.
I'm Joan.
Hello, Joan. How are you? What are you going to do here?
All right, Joan and Pam are going to take my pulse. Now, that sounds like a relatively simple thing for you to do, and you're experienced at doing that, I suppose, are you? All right.
Absolutely.
And we've got Ed and Pete over there on the drums and on the guitar. They've been rehearsed as to what to do. I'm going to ask you to take my pulse, ladies, and with the free hand, you don't have to time the pulse at all. With the free hand, as you feel the pulse beat, I want you to do this with your finger, okay, as if you're conducting an orchestra. And the two gentlemen in the band, Ed and Pete, are going to they're going to respectively watch each one of you. Ed will be here on this side, and Pete will be on this side. And follow those fingers. Watch those fingers carefully, and give me a little shot on the drum and a little plunk on the guitar as you see the finger come down. I won't suggest to you what's going to happen, but this is an old yoga stunt, all right? Let's take the pulse now, and the other free hand will beat the rhythm, okay? As soon as you get it going there. Must mean I'm alive.
This is very weird. What's going on here?
So I am alive again.
The only thing I can tell is you're dead from the waist down.
Yeah, indeed.
What are you doing?
It's a stunt whereby the pulse seems to change in one hand and not in the other, and then suddenly change in the other, as if your heart were beating differently in your left and right arm. And of course, they can't do that. And the Menninger Clinic wrote this up in an official report saying that this yogi had the power to stop his heart. They didn't bother to do this. Instead, they took the pulse. It's an old stunt off the back of cornflake boxes. And ladies, I hope I didn't confuse you too much. Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
That's interesting.
Thanks,
Dare I ask how you do that? I'm not sure how you do that. But it was obvious to the ladies that It was stopping, and it was irregular on both sides.
It's a physiological stunt, John. If you just get your arms in exactly the right way, you can press in and you can stop the circulation. And when the circulation begins to get weaker, it seems as if it slows down instead of actually keeping at the same rate but getting weaker. It's a very peculiar psychological effect.
I see, but the heart actually, of course, is keeping the same
I
beat.
hope.
Yeah.
I do hope.
It shows you that people are very easily deceived or believe what they sometimes wish to believe.
That's right. And when I was in the hospital the last couple of days, I did try it on the nurse one time. The poor girl, she was new, and she had only been there about a week. And my friend Steiner looked at me and he said, "Don't do it." And I said, "Oh, just for a minute." And the poor girl, she got so pale, I let it come right back again
Because she was saying and the pulse stops?
she thought she was going to lose me, right there.
What do you think of the phenomena that's going on now that is getting a lot of the channeling? It's rampant out here in California, where somebody speaks through, or they become the entity or the body or the voice of somebody who's been dead 25. Some of the names are Lazarus, Ramtha, Mafu.
All kinds of things.
They're called channelers.
And they say that these entities are 35,000 years in the past. A little hard to prove one way or the other. But when such intellectual giants as Shirley MacLaine support this sort of thing, you really... I believe...
A lot of people believe Shirley.
I believe that Shirley believes.
Yeah.
I think she's quite a sincere lady. She's obviously an intelligent, very talented lady. I don't think she's trying to deceive anybody, but I believe that she's been deceived. After all, let's face it, this is spiritualism warmed over. Spiritualism used to be sit in the dark with your hands overlapping, play the Rock of Ages, and they could do anything in the dark. Now there's nothing to shoot at. There's no target, really, that's presented here. Edgar Bergen used to do the same thing. He changed his voice, and he sounded like Charlie McCarthy. No one ever said Charlie McCarthy was alive, and yet these people are paying $300 a session to go into these meetings, and these channelers themselves have got it made. One of them said on a TV interview not long ago, "Look, we can't prove that it's real, but you can't prove that it isn't." It's a perfectly non-falsifiable situation.
Yeah, there's no way to prove that that person is in that room if you can't see him.
If you choose to believe, you choose to believe, and they don't care if you don't choose to believe.
But a lot of the entities they're speaking through say some very deep things, such as "so be it" was one that they quote a lot.
Amen is a big one, too.
Amen and so be it. Now, you pay $350 an hour for this?
Well, it depends how it's said. You see, if it's got a lot of character to it, and as Shirley MacLaine says it, it's worth it, I suppose.
And some of these people who are channelers, their backgrounds are quite normal. One of the people was I understand, an insurance salesman or a shoe salesman or something. Mm-hmm. And the other person ran at one time a dating service.
Yes, maybe a very old dating service. We're not sure.
We'll be right back. I wish we had more time. We just heard... Just a moment ago from Harry Houdini.
Yes.
We just heard from Harry, and he would have been here. Thanks for being with us tonight.
A pleasure.
Really, it's always fascinating. Next time we'll get into some more hocus pocus stuff and do some close-up magic.
Why not?
Okay. George, Mr. President, on Saturday night,
Yes,
8
sir.
o'clock?
8 o'clock, thank you.
Good night.